no surprise that as a game progresses, things are changed out here and there, and they're not exactly the same as they were when they first launched. There's plenty of changes that we've seen over the course of the past 3/4 of a year since the beta and such within Black Ops 4, but one thing I want to talk about today is a handful of challenges that were so tough and in some cases so hard that they were actually changed by Treyarch to make them a little bit easier. That the vast majority of players would not complete these challenges, so to make them a little bit more obtainable for all, some things were changed out here and there. So with a more so focus on MP and Blackout in this video, let's just jump right into it. The first one up on deck is one that honestly you might not even really know exists because it's a Dark Ops challenge, so if you don't have it unlocked or you haven't checked out a video of somebody who has unlocked it, you might not exactly know where this calling card or this challenge is from. That being the Gemmed Out challenge. If you look at it currently today, if you end up unlocking it, or if you know of somebody who has unlocked it, it is by activating the highest tier of dark matter on every single weapon. So this is something that you now can do that with 30 kills in a single match. So when you take a look at it, it's more so just a tedious challenge more so than anything else. It's going to take a little bit of time because chances are you can maybe in a domination match, if you're playing very well, knock out 2 of those a game. So it's about 15 matches or so at maybe the best, depending on what game mode you end up playing, to activate and then unlock this Gemmed Out challenge. But where it was different before came in the way that you had to activate the highest tier of Dark Matter. Dark Matter in itself was a very grind-worthy camo where you had to complete 27 weapons worth of challenges. That takes probably the average player quite some time if they ever complete it all. I know that in my case, I always gun for it at the earlier portions of the year and then I just never complete it. I always trail off and just stop paying attention to it. So therefore, there's a lot of players that may not even ever get Dark Matter. But if they end up putting in the time for those 27 weapons, the way you previously had to unlock the highest tier of Dark Matter was getting a nuclear. Those intermittent phases that you have to activate each stage of Dark Matter now that is based upon cumulative kills, it was something that previously was chained together kills. So they had to be in a gun streak that you had to get to it, so you couldn't even get it like a lethal nuclear. 30 kills of say 15 with your gun, 15 with your streaks. It had to be all 30 with your weapon. And so therefore, the Gemmed Out Dark Ops challenge in this regard was still the same thing of you had to activate the highest tier of Dark Matter on every single weapon, but because it was different in the way that you earned that highest tier, you had to get a nuclear with every single weapon. That means pistols, shotguns, rifles, SMGs, you name it, you had to get a nuclear, and it was something that I know of quite a few people that had Dark Matter within the first week or two, so they had the longest time to work on it. I don't think any of them ended up getting anywhere near that Dark Ops challenge before it was changed around. So if it stood the test of time as such, I think that honestly it could have gone down as probably one of the most challenging tasks in Call of Duty history, but fortunately for the players that want to go towards this, it is much more obtainable now. The next handful of challenges will flash over to Blackout for a brief period and then come back to some MP stuff, but Blackout actually had a couple of the character challenges changed around since its launch in October. Firstly, let's start up with our second challenge here, that being the Nomad specialist here for this. One thing to note that even prefaces this character challenge in general is that while the challenge itself changed, the reward did as well. Previously, all players had every single specialist locked, same with the Icon characters, same with the Zombies characters, and while you still have to unlock the Icon and Zombies characters via questline, you previously had to do the same thing with specialists, but now those are all naturally unlocked, and what you end up getting for completing that questline is simply a uniform that goes by the name of the numbers. It's pretty cool, but is it something that maybe is rewarding as actually unlocking the character themselves? That's up for you to decide. But one thing to note going into this one is that you had to previously unlock the actual character for them to be playable, whereas now they're just naturally unlocked. But Nomad ended up having an initial challenge of killing 3 specialists in Blackout. And in the first few weeks of Blackout, that was a tremendous task at hand. And you have to keep in mind that you had to previously unlock each of the specialists by completing each of their challenges. There are a couple of different stipulations here at this because not only did each of them have their own quest lines associated with it, but they were actually incrementally released. You ended up having, firstly, Ajax was the only character released. Then you had characters like Ruin, Recon, and Torque added incrementally in a second wave and a third wave of character releases and so on and so forth. So after the second wave of characters, there were only 4 specialists within a Blackout match before those other ones were unlocked, and that was about after 2 or 3 weeks of the game being live. And so therefore, if you wanted to get this challenge done early on, it came down not only to your own skill and being able to kill players, but also the complete random chance that the players that you encountered would end up unlocking and equipping those specialist skins in their match of Blackout. Of course, that proved to be something that was a little tough, and players really voiced their concerns over on Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, you name it, where they could end up getting their voices and opinions heard on the challenge, to which as of a November 13th update, it actually was changed so that then the challenge afterwards was simply to kill 2 players without taking any damage from them. And I think that anyone can agree that that is significantly easier than that of, especially early on, trying to find players that use a specialist character when there were only 1 more than required available in the game at the time. And so therefore this opened up the Nomad challenge drastically for a lot of players and made it much more obtainable. Definitely still gonna take a little pride in I got the Nomad challenge done before it was changed. But I digress. The next 2 we'll talk about are some icon characters, so we don't necessarily need to consider that specialists were previously locked by default, because these ones are still locked by default. But previously, let's start out with Mason. His challenge was to play the match as Reznov and then wake the sleeper agent and then place in your match depending on solos, duos, or quads. Now that's the interesting part here about this, because you had a prerequisite already in which you had to play as Reznov, who it's said to get at that time a long-range sniper kill, which was never really specified until its update, though it wasn't actually changed in terms of the value with it. So for that sense, Reznov isn't going to make this list, but Reznov required you to get a 200-meter kill and then wake the sleeper agent while playing as Reznov and place in your match. Now, Reznov is a challenge that, of course, many players might not ever get. I still don't have it, and I snipe a lot in Blackout. That one, to me, is more so a luck-based challenge than anything else, because you need to find the hat, and then also hope you run into a situation where a player is 200 meters away to begin with, that you have a sniper, then that they're standing still enough you can either hit that shot easily, or you hit a nice little random running shot at 200+ meters. But you ended up having to play as Reznov to complete the Mason challenge. Now, with it being such a tough challenge, it was changed that now you can end up finding Mason's stained white t-shirt, and all you have to do is wake the sleeper agent and then place. The waking the sleeper agent part wasn't ever really the toughest part of the challenge. All you have to do is go over and activate the beacon at array, which is actually a dark ops challenge as well, so you can theoretically knock 2 birds out with 1 stone, but the fact that you had that prerequisite was really that massive hurdle that a lot of players did not get over. So in that sense, Treyarch ended up changing it. Another icon character that was changed was Menendez's character challenge. Previously, you had to end up finding his locket in a supply crate, which was something that normally happened late game. You could find it in a stash if you were early enough, but then you had to previously kill an enemy with a shotgun, plus kill an enemy with a melee, and finish the match with the item in your inventory. That's pretty insane, especially if you find the locket in a late game crate that comes down via supply drops, because at that point, a lot of the player base left in the game is probably well looted with armor, rifles, and so on and so forth. So getting that shotgun and melee kill would have been next to impossible. And as a result, it's now changed so that all you have to do is kill 2 enemies with a shotgun. And the nice part about this is that cleanup kills actually work as well. So if you end up finishing a player off while they're downed by your teammate, that should credit it. Sometimes the challenge is bugged where it doesn't necessarily always work, but for the most part it should. One also fun little Easter egg is that since the inclusion of this update, Menendez, anytime he gets a kill with a shotgun while you're going for that challenge, the locket in your inventory, he'll end up yelling Josefina, which is a callback to Black Ops 2 where he goes on that murderous rampage in the flashback mission. So an interesting touch here with that, but rounds out the rest of our Blackout characters and the changes that came along with that one. The final change that we'll talk about definitively today comes in the way of one that may have been a big hurdle for those going for dark matter early on. That being the HellionSalvo, the only launcher in the game as of the time of recording this. Previously, you needed to destroy 5 sentry guns or 5 mantis score streaks to end up getting the penthouse camo. Now, those were hardly used even early on, and probably even more so now, so it's a good thing that that was changed, but it was tremendously tough to complete the challenge as a result. So camo grinders definitely had quite the hurdle in front of them. But now it was changed so that it includes the Sniper's Nest, Attack Chopper, as well as the Gunship on top of the Sentry Guns, as well as Mantis Score Streaks. So while probably one of the weapons you want to knock out the earliest in launchers every single year for the Dark Matter or Max Camo grind, the HellionSalvo was certainly much tougher up front compared to where it is now, in which it's a lot more inclusive and allows for a lot more ease of use, and maybe even for the better, because I couldn't tell you the last time that I even saw 5 Sentry Guns or Mantises in a game, let alone had the opportunity to destroy them with a HellionSalvo. So I'll take that one. One challenge that I kind of wanted to include as a runner-up here with this was the Obtain challenge, because it was changed by glitch. It wasn't something that Treyarch actually changed, and if you end up completing it, I'm pretty sure it corrects itself. I've yet to do so to actually verify myself, but the Obtain challenge is a Dark Ops challenge that is previously reserved just simply for unlocking Dark Matter. You completed all the camo challenges and that's your reward. But because of a bug that happens, and a lot of players may have the same situation here with this one, it ends up displaying a different challenge and still gives you that calling card and that you completed it, saying that the challenge was to win a TDM, free-for-all, heist, or search and destroy game and have the most EKIAs and least deaths of all players in that game. So essentially the highest kill-death ratio in any of those game modes, but it's something that was previously reserved for Dark Matter. Quite the curious little change up and glitch here with that one, but I mean, it looks cool, I can equip it, but it doesn't give me the same satisfaction as the other ones have. That said, that is where we're going to wrap it up here at this one. Wanted to recap some of the more quirky and curious changes you may never really know about in Black Ops 4, and because they were so tough, Treyarch ended up changing them to allow for a little bit more community interaction and involvement in that completion process. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is there anything in particular that I may have missed? Is there any challenge that you know of that was changed that we didn't necessarily cover here in this video? Are you guys glad some of them changed? Are you kind of bummed out some of them were changed? Were you hoping this was going to be a little bit more of an exclusive challenge when you completed it? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered for the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, thank you guys all so much for watching. Menendez Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.